The small ship touched down on the silent surface of the forgotten world. The dust rose in soft clouds and settled again just as quickly, as if the planet had been waiting in silence for years. Ravi stepped out carefully, his boots pressing into the grey soil that felt cold even through the thick solace. He looked around at the ruined landscape. The sky was dim, covered with thin, pale clouds that stretched endlessly, giving the world a heavy and lonely air. Ravi had landed here only because his ship needed materials to fix a failing energy coil. The navigation charts had marked this world as abandoned, and that suited him well. He had no plans to stay longer than he had to. The ruins scattered around the landing site looked like broken teeth of some ancient city, their walls cracked and leaning, half buried under layers of dust and vines. He moved slowly, his eyes scanning the surroundings. Every step echoed inside the empty stone structures, and his hand never left the side of his tool belt. It was not fear that guided his caution, but habit. In places like this, silence often meant secrets. As Ravi walked deeper into the ruins, he noticed faint carvings on the walls. The symbols were sharp but faded, as if time itself had tried to erase the story they once told. He could not read them, but he felt the weight of history pressing down on him. Someone had lived here once, perhaps in great numbers, yet now only shadows of their lives remained. Then he heard it. A sound so soft he almost missed it. It was not the shifting of stone or the whisper of wind. It was a voice, weak and trembling. Ravi froze, his heart tightening in his chest. For a moment he thought it might be his mind playing tricks in the emptiness. But then the sound came again. "Don't look at me." The words were faint, spoken in a language not his own, yet his translator caught the meaning. Slowly, Ravi turned toward the sound. At first he saw nothing but rubble and shadow. Then his eyes caught movement, a slight shape curled in a corner, half hidden behind a fallen wall. It was a figure. He stepped closer, but carefully, not wanting to startle whoever or whatever it was. As the figure shifted, the light from his wrist lamp revealed more. It was a girl, at least she looked young by human standards. Her skin carried a faint glow in some places, like cracks of light beneath the surface. Her hair hung loose and uneven, and her clothes were torn and faded. She kept her face turned away, covering herself with her arms as if even the dim light hurt. "Don't look at me," she repeated, her voice heavy with pain. "I'm broken." Ravi stopped a few steps away, unsure what to say. He had met many beings across different worlds, but he had never seen someone like her. The glow under her skin was not natural, yet it was not frightening either. It was as if she carried both light and sorrow inside her. "I didn't mean to disturb you," Ravi said gently. He kept his voice steady, calm, the way one speaks to someone standing on the edge of fear. "I only came here to find supplies. I didn't know anyone was here." The girl lowered her arms a little, enough for him to see the side of her face. Her eyes glowed faintly like her skin, but they were filled with hesitation. She looked at him not with anger but with deep sadness, as if she had been waiting to be found and dreading it at the same time. "You should leave," she whispered. "If you stay, you will regret it. I am not like you. I am not whole." Ravi felt the weight of her words. Broken, not whole, abandoned in a ruin. She spoke like someone who had carried the burden of being unwanted for a long time. He did not move closer, but he also did not leave. "I have no reason to harm you," he said softly. "And I don't see a reason to run. If you are here, then maybe you have a reason to. I can share food, if you need." At the mention of food, her eyes flickered, betraying hunger. She quickly looked down again, ashamed to show need. Ravi unhooked a small pack from his belt and set it gently on the ground between them. He did not push it toward her, nor did he step back. He simply left it there, as if offering without demand. The silence stretched, broken only by the distant rumble of shifting stone in the ruins. Finally, she reached out, her hands trembling as she pulled the pack closer. She opened it carefully, as if expecting it to vanish, and when she saw the food inside, she let out a breath that sounded almost like disbelief. Ravi watched quietly. He did not ask her name yet, nor did he question why she was here. He could see she was fragile, and words could wound more than heal. For now, it was enough to know she had accepted a piece of what he offered. The girl ate slowly, her eyes still glancing at him with caution. After a long silence, she spoke again, her voice no stronger than before. "My name was Lyra," she said. "But it no longer matters. I am broken. That is all I am now." Ravi looked at her carefully. In her words he did not hear truth, but the echo of something forced upon her. She believed she was broken because someone had made her believe it. And though he had come to this world only for parts and supplies, Ravi now felt the path of his journey had shifted. He was no longer just a traveler in ruins. He had found a living secret hidden in the shadows, one who called herself broken. And something inside him whispered that this meeting was only the beginning. Ravi stayed where he was, not moving closer, not reaching out, only watching the strange girl who called herself Lyra. The ruins around them were silent, as if even the broken walls were listening. A dim wind drifted through the cracks, carrying dust and a low hum that seemed to belong to the planet itself. Lyra finished the small meal he had offered, though every bite looked like a struggle between hunger and shame. When she was done, she pushed the empty pack back toward him without lifting her head. "You should go now," she whispered. "I warned you. My presence will only bring trouble." Ravi took the pack but did not leave. He studied her carefully. She looked tired, fragile, but there was something beneath her weakness. The faint glow under her skin pulsed softly, almost like the rhythm of a heartbeat. It gave the sense that she was more than she believed herself to be. "You say you are broken," Ravi said slowly, "but I don't see that. I see someone who has survived in a place where no one else could." Her head lifted slightly, and her glowing eyes met his for a brief second before she turned away again. "You don't understand. I was made to be strong, but I failed. My people cast me aside. I am nothing now. You are wasting your words." Ravi crouched down, resting his hand on his knee. He did not want to tower over her. "Maybe your people were wrong. Maybe failure is not the end." Her body stiffened at that, and a shadow passed over her face. "Do not speak like that," she said sharply, though her voice still carried weakness. "You do not know them. They do not forgive. They do not take back what they throw away. I was left here so that I would be forgotten. If you stay with me, you will be marked as I am." The weight in her words was heavy, filled with years of being alone. Ravi could hear the pain of someone who had lived too long with nothing but silence for company. He let the quiet settle for a while before he answered. "I don't fear being marked," he said finally. "I've been called useless myself, more than once. But the way I see it, one voice does not decide who we are. Not even 1,000 voices can, if we do not allow it." Lyra shook her head quickly. "You are wrong. You are human. You live with choice. I was created, shaped for one purpose. If I cannot serve that purpose, then I am empty. I am broken." Her voice cracked on the last word, and she hugged her knees close to her chest, trying to hide. Ravi felt the urge to step forward, to offer comfort, but he stopped himself. She was not ready for touch, not ready for closeness. Words would have to be enough. "Even if you were made for one purpose," Ravi said gently, "why must you be trapped by it? You're still alive. That means you can choose what comes next. Survival itself is proof that you are not empty." For a long time she did not answer. Her glowing eyes flickered, her face unreadable. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "No one ever said that to me before." The silence stretched again, heavy but less sharp than before. Ravi sat back, leaning against the cracked wall of the ruin. He pulled a small device from his belt, a scanner for the materials he had come to find. He switched it on, letting its soft hum fill the air. "You see," he said, "I came here looking for supplies. But instead I found you. Maybe that is reason enough to stay a little longer." Lyra's head turned quickly, and for the first time her eyes showed more than sadness. There was fear in them now, fear not for herself but for him. "No," she said firmly. "You must not stay. I cannot control what I am. My presence is dangerous. The energy inside me is unstable. If it grows, it will hurt you. Do you not hear me? I am warning you." Her glow flickered stronger as she spoke, and Ravi realized her fear was not only words. Something inside her was indeed unstable, and she carried it like a storm waiting to break. But still, he did not step away. "Then we will deal with that storm when it comes," he said calmly. "Until then, you do not have to be alone." She closed her eyes tightly, shaking her head. "Why do you not leave? Everyone else leaves. Everyone else looks once and turns away. Why do you stay?" Ravi thought for a moment before answering. His voice was steady, but there was warmth in it. "Because I have seen what loneliness does. I would not wish it on anyone. Not even someone who thinks they are broken." Her breathing slowed. For a long moment she said nothing, as if she were struggling against an invisible wall inside her. Finally, she whispered, "You are foolish, human. Your kindness will only bring you pain." Ravi gave a faint smile. "Then I will be a foolish man. But I'd rather be foolish than leave you here in silence." The ruins grew darker as the pale light outside began to fade. Night was coming, though the sky was already dim. Ravi set a small lamp between them, its glow soft and steady. Lyra watched the light carefully, her eyes reflecting both fear and longing. She turned away again, hugging herself tighter. "Stay if you must," she said softly. "But do not expect anything from me. I am broken, and I cannot be fixed." Ravi did not argue. He only nodded, though she could not see it. He knew that trust was not built in a single day. It was like planting a seed in dry soil. It might take time, water, and care before even the smallest leaf appeared. As the first true night fell over the ruins, Ravi sat in silence, letting her words hang in the air. She had refused his comfort, but she had not driven him away completely. That, he thought, was enough for now. Somewhere in the stillness of the broken city, a bond had begun to form, fragile as glass, yet stronger than loneliness itself. The morning on the ruined planet came slowly. The pale light of the sun seeped through the gray clouds, casting long shadows across the broken stones. Ravi stirred from his short rest near the corner of a fallen wall. His lamp had gone out during the night, but the faint glow from Lyra's skin still gave the darkness a strange kind of light. When she noticed him awake, she shifted, moving back into the shadows. "You stayed," she said, her voice low. Ravi nodded. "I told you I would. I don't leave so easily." Lyra looked at him for a moment, then lowered her head. "You are strange. No one has ever wanted to stay near me. They always fear what I carry." Ravi leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Then maybe they didn't see you clearly. They only saw what they were told to see. Not what you are." She let out a soft, bitter laugh. "You say that because you do not know me. If you knew, you would run too." Ravi studied her carefully. The way she spoke, the heaviness in her tone, it was as if she was holding on to secrets too painful to reveal. Yet he also sensed that keeping them hidden was crushing her. "You can tell me," he said quietly. "I won't run. Not from words." For a long while, she said nothing. Her glowing eyes flickered as if her thoughts were at war with one another. Finally, she lifted her gaze to the cracked ceiling above them, speaking slowly, as though the truth was heavy to carry. I was not born like this, she said. I was made. Shaped by my people to be something more than what they are. I was to be a guardian, one of many. Strong, fast, able to protect the world from all threats. We were built from flesh and light, and the power inside us was our purpose. Her hand touched her chest where the faint glow pulsed beneath her skin. This was my gift. But the gift failed. My power grew unstable. It would surge without warning, burn through my body, and cause harm instead of protection. The elders judged me. They called me a mistake. They cast me out. Ravi listened, his expression calm. He could hear the pain behind every word. It was not just failure she carried, it was rejection, the cruel kind that leaves scars deeper than any wound. You were only a child when this happened, he asked gently. I was young, she answered. But age did not matter. A guardian who cannot guard has no place. My sisters continued their training. I was hidden. I was told to stay in the ruins where no one would see me. To them, I was shame. The last word fell like a stone. Ravi's chest tightened. He had seen harshness before, had heard stories of civilizations that valued perfection above compassion. But to throw away one of their own, a child with feelings and dreams, was cruelty he could not accept. They were wrong, he said firmly. You are not shame. You are not broken. You are alive. That is enough. Lyra shook her head. You speak as if your words can change the truth. They cannot. My power is still broken. If it grows again, it will destroy. You should not be near me. Ravi leaned back against the wall, folding his arms. Maybe your power isn't broken. Maybe it's just different. Maybe no one ever taught you how to control it. Did they even try? She hesitated, her eyes flickering with something close to anger but also sorrow. They tried. When I failed again and again, they stopped. To them, it was a waste of time. I was left behind. That was the end. Ravi let the silence sit between them for a while. Then he asked, do you believe that is the end? Lyra's lips parted as if to answer quickly, but no words came. She looked away, uncertain. Her silence told Ravi more than her words could. She wanted to believe in something more, but the weight of rejection still chained her heart. Ravi reached into his pack and pulled out a small crystal shard he had picked up from the ground earlier. He held it in his palm and let the light touch it. Look at this, he said. Cracked, rough, not polished. Some might throw it away. But in the right hands, it can still shine. Lyra's eyes moved to the crystal. She studied it without speaking, her expression unreadable. Slowly, her gaze lifted back to Ravi. You compare me to stone, she said softly. I compare you to light hidden inside stone, Ravi answered. The faintest trace of emotion crossed her face, something close to surprise. She turned away quickly, as if she did not want him to see it. The ruins around them groaned as a breeze passed through broken arches, carrying with it the smell of dust and forgotten years. Ravi stood and looked around. Tell me something, Lyra. Did you ever want to be a guardian? Was it truly your dream? She was quiet for a long time before answering. At first, yes. To protect, to serve, that was the honor we were taught to seek. But when I failed, I began to wonder. Was it truly my dream, or only theirs? I do not know anymore. Ravi nodded slowly. Then maybe now is the time to find your own answer. Not theirs. Not what they forced on you. Your own. Lyra stared at him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim morning light. You speak as if such things are possible, she whispered. They are, Ravi said firmly. I have lived long enough to know that the hardest chains are the ones we put on ourselves. Break them, and you will see how wide the world can be. For the first time, she did not argue. She only lowered her gaze, lost in thought. Ravi did not push further. He knew that trust was not won in a single day, nor could old wounds be healed by a few words. But he had seen something shift in her, a crack in the wall she had built around herself. And sometimes, he thought, all it took was a single crack for light to break through. The day passed slowly under the grey sky of the ruined world. Ravi spent the hours searching among the broken stones for the supplies his ship needed, while Lyra stayed close to the shadows, always watching him but never moving too far away. She still carried caution in her eyes, yet the distance between them was no longer as wide as it had been when they first met. By late afternoon, Ravi had gathered a few useful parts, though not nearly enough to repair his ship. As he worked, he noticed Lyra's hands trembling. She kept pressing them against her chest, her glow flickering stronger than usual. "Are you all right?" Ravi asked. She shook her head quickly. "The air is changing. Can you not feel it?" Ravi paused and lifted his face to the wind. At first, he felt only the cool breath of dust, but then he noticed the strange heaviness in the air, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The clouds above swirled in slow circles, faint sparks flickering in their depths. A storm was forming. But it was no ordinary storm. Lyra stood and backed against a wall, her glow pulsing faster now, as though her body was answering the call of the sky. Her voice shook. "It is happening again. The energy inside me responds to the storm. I cannot stop it." Ravi stepped closer, careful not to alarm her. "Breathe slowly. Focus on me. You're not alone this time." Her hands clenched tightly, and her eyes glowed brighter. Lines of light spread along her arms like veins made of fire. She gasped, trying to control it, but the power surged anyway, causing cracks of energy to spark against the stones around her. Dust lifted from the ground, pulled by the force that radiated from her. "I told you," she cried, "I cannot control it. You should have left." Ravi stood firm, even as the ground trembled. "No, I told you I would stay. Look at me, Lyra. Just me. Forget the storm." Her eyes locked on his, wide with fear. For a moment, the energy around her slowed, as if the storm inside her hesitated. But then another wave came, stronger than before, and the ruins shook with its force. The sky above rumbled, lightning streaking through the heavy clouds. Ravi shielded his eyes but did not step back. "You are not broken," he shouted over the noise. "You are strong. The storm does not own you." She tried to believe him, but her body trembled as though it might tear itself apart. A burst of light shot from her hands and struck a wall, shattering stone into dust. She covered her face in shame. "You see? I am dangerous. I cannot stop it." But Ravi saw something else. The light that burst from her had not been wild, it had bent slightly, as if drawn by her fear, her panic. It was not random. It was connected to her emotions. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "The power answers your feelings. You fear it, so it grows wild. But what if you trust it? What if you trust yourself?" Her breath came fast and uneven. I don't know how." "Then let us try together," Ravi said. He stepped closer, his voice steady though the storm raged above them. "Breathe with me. In and out. Slow. Think not of fear. Think of light as something gentle, not sharp. You are not its prisoner." Lyra's eyes narrowed, her face tense as she tried to follow his words. She took one slow breath, then another. The lines of light across her skin flickered, then softened. The storm above still rolled, but the wild sparks around her grew weaker. For the first time, she did not look broken, she looked powerful, even if unsure of her strength. Her voice shook as she whispered, "It listens. I can feel it listening. Yes, Ravi said with a small smile. It listens to you. Not the other way around. But the moment did not last. A sudden crack of thunder boomed across the ruins, and the shock of it startled her. The glow flared again, energy bursting outward in a wave that knocked Ravi back against the stones. Ravi, she cried, her voice breaking. She rushed toward him, her glow burning bright as she tried to hold it back. Ravi pushed himself up slowly, coughing, but still calm. I'm fine. Don't lose focus. You can hold it? Tears formed in her glowing eyes as she struggled to control the storm inside. For a brief moment, it seemed she might fail completely, but then something shifted in her expression. She closed her eyes, drew a slow, steady breath, and the light around her dimmed to a soft glow. The sky above still churned with clouds, but the storm's pull on her seemed weaker. She looked down at her hands in disbelief. I stopped it, she whispered. For a moment. I stopped it? Ravi nodded, standing fully now. Not broken, he said firmly. Never broken. Just waiting to learn. Lyra stared at him, her lips trembling as if she wanted to speak but could not find the words. For the first time since they met, there was something in her eyes that looked like hope. The storm above slowly began to fade, leaving the ruins in uneasy silence. Lyra stood still, her glow now steady, no longer wild. She lowered her hands and looked at Ravi with a new kind of strength. You are a strange human, she said softly. You look at me, and instead of seeing danger, you see something else. Ravi smiled faintly. I see someone who is still learning who she really is. And I would rather stand with her than walk away. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she whispered, almost too soft to hear, maybe I am not as broken as I believed. The ruins fell silent again, but the silence felt different now, not the silence of loneliness, but the silence after a storm has passed, carrying with it the promise of change. The storm had passed, but its echo lingered in the ruins. Broken stones were scattered where Lyra's power had struck, and the air still carried the sharp scent of energy. Ravi stood near the fallen wall, brushing dust from his clothes. Lyra remained in the center of the ruin, her glow now soft and steady. For the first time, she looked less like a shadow hiding in fear and more like a figure caught between weakness and strength. You did it, Ravi said. You held it back. Lyra's glowing eyes lowered. For a moment only. The storm faded before I lost control. Do not give me more credit than I deserve. Ravi shook his head. You did more than you think. That was not the storm's doing, it was yours. Before she could answer, a sharp sound cut through the silence. Metal clanging against stone. Ravi turned quickly, his hand going to the small tool at his belt, though he knew it was no weapon. Shadows moved at the edge of the ruins. Figures stepped into view. There were 6 of them, tall and lean, dressed in patched armor made from scavenged plates. Their faces were partly covered with masks that filtered the thin air. Each carried weapons, blades, staffs, and strange devices humming faintly with energy. Scavengers. They spread out, forming a half-circle around Ravi and Lyra. The leader, a tall figure with a scar running across his visible cheek, raised his weapon and laughed coldly. Well, what do we have here? A human wanderer and, look at this. His eyes landed on Lyra, glowing faintly in the dim light. A broken guardian. I thought they had all been taken away. Lyra stiffened, her glow flickering. She stepped back, her voice shaking. Leave. I am nothing you want. The scavenger leader grinned. Nothing? No, you are worth more than anything else in these ruins. Your kind was built to protect, but broken, or not, the core inside you still burns bright. That glow is power. And power sells well. The scavengers moved closer. Ravi stepped in front of Lyra, his body tense. He had no weapon to match theirs, but he stood firm anyway. "You won't touch her," Ravi said sharply. The leader laughed again. Bold words from a man with empty hands. "Do you even know what she is, human? She is a failure, cast away by her own people. Why stand for her?" "Because she is more than what you call her," Ravi replied. "You see something to sell. I see someone worth protecting." The leader sneered, motioning to his companions. "Take them both." The scavengers began to advance. Lyra's glow flared as fear gripped her. She whispered urgently to Ravi, "You must run. They are right. They know what I am. If I try to fight, I will lose control again. I cannot save you." Ravi did not move. His eyes stayed on the approaching enemies. "I didn't come this far to leave you now. If there is a fight, we face it together." Her eyes widened, her glow trembling like a candle in the wind. "Why? Why would you choose me when I bring danger? You could escape if you left me here." "Because leaving you is not the kind of choice I make," Ravi said firmly. "I've seen enough of the galaxy to know one truth: a person is not measured by how others treat them, but by who they truly are. And you, Lyra, are not broken. You just haven't been given a chance." The scavengers came closer, their boots grinding against stone. The leader lifted his weapon, its edge sparking with energy. Ravi braced himself, though he knew he was no soldier. He was only a man with resolve. Yet as he stood, something began to change. Lyra's glow grew brighter. She looked at Ravi, seeing no fear in his face, only determination. For the first time, she felt the weight of his belief in her. Her body shook, not with fear this time, but with awakening. She stepped forward, standing beside Ravi instead of behind him. Her voice, though trembling, carried new strength. "If you touch him, you will see what I truly am." The scavenger leader paused, narrowing his eyes. "You think you can scare me with a broken spark? Show me, then." Lyra's hands trembled as the light spread across her arms. The ground beneath her feet shivered. She closed her eyes, and Ravi could see she was fighting not against her power, but against the fear that had chained her for so long. The scavengers hesitated, their laughter fading as they saw the glow grow brighter, steadier. It no longer looked wild or broken. It looked controlled, as though a hidden strength was waking from its long sleep. Ravi whispered beside her, "You have the choice now. Fear, or strength. Which one do you want to live by?" Her eyes opened, and they burned with light. "I choose strength," she said firmly. The ruins shook as her energy pulsed outward, not in wild bursts but in a steady wave that pushed the scavengers back. Stones rattled, and the very air seemed to hum with her power. The leader stumbled, shock flashing across his face. "This cannot be," he muttered. "You were supposed to be broken." Lyra stood tall, her glow bright but steady. "I was never broken," she said, her voice clear. "I was only waiting for a reason to rise again." The scavengers fell back, uncertain now. They had come expecting weakness, but what stood before them was something far greater. Ravi glanced at Lyra with pride. "Looks like they finally see you the way I do." And for the first time, she allowed herself a small, fragile smile. The scavengers hesitated as Lyra's glow spread across the broken stones. The faint cracks of light along her skin no longer flickered wildly, they shone steady and bright, like veins of fire flowing with purpose. The ruins trembled as her energy hummed through the air, and the scavengers who once laughed now looked uneasy. The leader tried to hide his fear behind a sneer. "Do not be fooled," he shouted to his companions. "She is unstable. A burst of light does not make her whole. Strike them down before she burns out." At his command, two scavengers charged forward. Their boots pounded against the stone as they raised their blades high. Ravi's breath caught, but he did not move from Lyra's side. He had no weapon strong enough to fight them, yet he trusted what was awakening inside her. Lyra raised her hands, and the glow surged outward. A shield of light formed between them and the scavengers. The blade struck the shield and bounced away with a sharp crack of energy. The scavengers stumbled back, their eyes wide in shock. "I can control it," Lyra whispered in disbelief. "It listens to me." "Yes," Ravi said quickly, steadying her with his voice. "Stay focused. It's yours now." The leader growled and raised his weapon, firing a bolt of energy at them. The blast hit Lyra's shield, shaking it, but she did not falter. Instead, her glow grew brighter, her feet pressing firmly into the ground as though she was rooted in the ruins themselves. With a cry, she pushed her hands forward. The shield burst outward like a wave of light, knocking the scavengers off their feet. Dust rose in clouds, and broken stones scattered across the ground. When the air cleared, the scavengers were scrambling to their knees, their faces pale beneath their masks. None of them dared rush forward again. The leader glared at her, anger battling with fear. "You should not be able to do this. You were cast aside, abandoned. You are nothing but failure." Lyra's eyes burned like twin stars as she stepped forward. "You call me broken because that is what you were told to believe. But I am still here. I was left to fade, yet I remain. Failure does not mean the end. It means I rise again, stronger than before." Her words carried more than defiance, they carried truth. Ravi felt it, and even the scavengers seemed shaken by the force of her conviction. But the leader was not ready to yield. He lifted his weapon again, anger twisting his face. "If you will not come quietly, then we will take your core from your body. Dead or alive, you are still worth something." Lyra's glow flared, and Ravi stepped closer to her side. "You are not alone in this fight," he told her firmly. She looked at him quickly, and in his steady gaze she found the strength she needed. Turning back to the scavengers, she lifted her arms, her light surging higher until the ruins blazed as though a second sun had risen. The scavengers shielded their eyes, stumbling backward. The leader tried to resist, but the power pressing against him was too strong. His weapon shook in his hands, then slipped free and clattered to the stones. "Go," Lyra commanded, her voice echoing through the ruins. "Leave this place. Leave us." The scavengers, shaken and blinded by the light, retreated quickly. Some stumbled, some crawled, but none dared turn back. The leader cursed under his breath, but even he knew when a battle was lost. He spat at the ground, then disappeared into the shadows with the others. The ruins fell silent again. Only the soft hum of Lyra's energy remained, wrapping the broken stones in gentle light. Slowly, she lowered her hands, and the glow dimmed to a calm shimmer. Her chest rose and fell heavily as she caught her breath. Then she looked down at her hands, staring at them as if they were no longer her own. "I did not lose control," she whispered. "I used it. I chose what to do." Ravi stepped forward, a smile of relief crossing his face. "You see now? It was never about being broken. You just needed to believe in yourself, even a little." The rest followed. Her glowing eyes lifted to meet his. For a long moment she was silent, and then she said softly, "You believed for me when I could not. You stood when no one else would. That is why I found the strength." Ravi shook his head. "No, Lyra. The strength was always yours. I only reminded you to look at it." She let out a soft breath that was almost a laugh, though her voice trembled. "I thought I was nothing more than a discarded shadow. But now, standing here, I feel alive. Not as a tool. Not as a mistake. Just alive." Ravi nodded. "And that is more than enough." For the first time since he had met her, Lyra smiled fully, not with hesitation but with a quiet joy. It was small, fragile, yet it lit her face more than her glow ever had. The ruins seemed different now, less like a tomb and more like a place of beginnings. The storm had awakened something not only in the skies but inside Lyra herself. She looked out at the broken city and then back at Ravi. The world beyond these ruins, do you think there is a place for someone like me? Ravi's smile grew. I don't think. I know. And if you want, we can find it together. Lyra's eyes softened, and she whispered, then maybe I am not alone anymore. The silence that followed was not heavy like before. It was gentle, filled with the promise of what was yet to come. The night after the battle was quiet. The ruins no longer felt heavy with despair. Instead, they carried a strange calm, as if the broken stones themselves had witnessed a new beginning. Ravi and Lyra sat near a low fire they had built from scattered debris. The soft flames flickered against the walls, and Lyra's glow mixed with the firelight, giving the place a warm radiance. For a long time, neither spoke. Lyra sat with her knees drawn close, her eyes fixed on the sparks that rose into the dark sky. Ravi knew she was deep in thought, and he did not wish to disturb her. Yet he also knew that silence could hold too many unspoken fears. Finally, she broke the stillness. I was told I was broken because I could not hold the power without losing control. I believed it for so long that it became my truth. But tonight, I did not lose myself. I chose what to do. Her voice carried wonder, but also uncertainty, as if she still struggled to trust her own victory. Ravi leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. You showed them what they refused to see. You were never broken. You were just more than they could understand. Sometimes people fear what they cannot control, so they call it a mistake. Lyra's glowing eyes turned toward him. If that is true, then why did you believe in me when no one else did? He thought for a moment before answering. Because when I first found you, I saw someone still standing. Even in despair, you were alive. You did not give up, even if you thought you had nothing left. That kind of strength is rare. It deserves to be seen. Her lips curved into a faint smile, fragile yet sincere. She turned back to the fire, watching the flames sway. Perhaps I did not give up because part of me hoped that someone would see me. Not as broken. Not as discarded. Just as myself. Ravi's heart softened at her words. Then that hope carried you here. And now you are free to decide what comes next. Lyra looked up at the ruins that stretched into the night. The broken towers and shattered arches stood like old guardians, silent witnesses of her awakening. She rose slowly, walking across the cracked stones. Her glow lit the path, and Ravi followed. They climbed to a higher point where the ruins opened to a wide view of the land. The storm from before had cleared, leaving the sky full of stars. Lyra stared at the endless stretch above them. In the city where I was created, they told me I had no future, she said softly. But standing here, I feel as though the stars are calling. As if the universe itself is saying I have a place. Ravi stood beside her, his gaze following hers. The stars belong to everyone. To humans, to your kind, to anyone who dares to reach for them. The only chains are the ones others place on us or the ones we accept ourselves. She turned to him, her expression shifting between fear and hope. Do you think the world beyond these ruins will accept me? He met her eyes with steady calm. It does not matter what the world says at first. What matters is that you accept yourself. Once you do, no one can define you again. Her glow flickered gently, as if responding to his words. For the first time, she straightened her shoulders without hesitation, her stance no longer weighed down by doubt. Then I choose to live not as broken, not as abandoned, but as Lyra. Ravi smiled. And that is more than enough. They stood together in silence, watching the horizon where the first hints of dawn touched the sky. The light of the rising sun blended with Lyra's glow until it was hard to tell where one ended and the other began. The world was changing, and so were they. Lyra's voice was steady when she finally spoke again. Ravi, there is something I have not told you. When I was made, I was given a core that could link to ancient systems hidden across this world. That is why they wanted me captured. They feared I might discover it, or worse, unlock it. Ravi's eyes widened. And now, she said, her voice calm but filled with resolve, I feel the call of that core more clearly than ever. The storm awakened it. My light was only the beginning. There is something larger waiting, something buried deep in these ruins and beyond. Perhaps that is the true reason I survived. Ravi placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we will face it together. Whatever it is, you are not alone. Lyra closed her eyes, letting his words sink deep into her heart. When she opened them, her gaze was clear, her fear replaced by purpose. Together, then. Not as broken beings, but as two who choose to stand. The dawn stretched across the land, golden light spilling over the ruins. The shadows that once haunted Lyra seemed to fade with the night. She was no longer a discarded fragment of someone else's design. She was herself, whole and alive, with a future yet to be written. And as Ravi stood beside her, he felt a quiet certainty that their story was only beginning.